Hello there, my very good friends. Andy Murray here for What Culture Wrestling, and a happy Thanksgiving to everyone watching from the United States. Now, obviously, as a British person, it's a holiday that I don't really indulge in, but hearing all these annual stories of overindulging in delicious food and drinking for 16 hours straight and watching a whole day's worth of sport and hanging out with family, I tell you what, it makes me very envious indeed, and maybe we should have one of our own. Now, obviously, this is also a time for reflection and for, well, giving thanks. So today, what we're going to do is extend that to pro wrestling. I think we can all agree that this is an absolutely phenomenal time to be a fan, with literally hundreds of awesome wrestlers doing awesome things for awesome companies. And what better day to celebrate them than today? This is all subjective, of course, and it's not a list of the best wrestlers, just 10 who really fill us with joy. So let's get into it. I'm Andy for What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 wrestlers that we're most thankful for in 2019. Number 10, Daniel Bryan. Now this is a little bit of a cheat entry because when aren't we thankful for Daniel Bryan? The guy could really slot onto a list like this at any time of year, so the fact that he's number 10 doesn't necessarily mean that we're more or less thankful for him than anyone else. He's just consistently like one of the best wrestlers alive. I think that one of Bryan's biggest strengths is his continued ability to take lemons and make lemonade. Recently at Survivor Series, we saw him have a pretty good match with The Fiend where Seth Rollins had failed, and he really tried hard to get as much out of that failed Roman Reigns whodunit saga as possible. But there's so much more to it than that. He's had TV bangers with the likes of Buddy Murphy and Adam Cole. He had an awesome world title run in the lead up to WrestleMania 35. And I don't think his role in getting Kofi Kingston over to the level that he was up to and at WrestleMania can really be understated either. I mean, really, at this stage in his career, we can realistically call Bryan one of the best wrestlers of all time. He's a genius between the ropes. He continually gets the most out of every single person he works with, and really, we're lucky to be fans at the same time that he's doing all this great work. At number 9, Kofi Kingston. Following on nicely from Bryan, man, I just really wanted to give Kofi some props because things have been, well, pretty rough for him since he ran afoul of Brock Lesnar. Now, while I do think that passing the WWE Championship over to Brock was probably a smart move when SmackDown went to Fox, 7 seconds, really? Not even a single hope spot, not even a single kick out to speak of? That was pretty pathetic. I think that the guy definitely deserved a better send-off after working so hard in the build-up to WrestleMania 35 and, of course, for his coronation as WWE Champion. That was an awesome, awesome moment. It will be replayed for decades to come, and yeah, the ensuing title reign wasn't quite as critically acclaimed as WWE or Kofi might have hoped, but that wasn't really his fault. He was still working hard, he was still busting his ass, until he lost in 7 seconds. Either way, I just hope that at the end of all of this, his 2019 is better remembered for the highs rather than the lows, because let's not forget, Kofi Mania is probably the WWE story of the year. Number 8, Keith Lee. Big beefy Keithy has always been an awesome wrestler from the moment he stepped into WWE, but unfortunately, he didn't always have the chance to show that early on, particularly when he was jobbing out to guys like Lars Sullivan, who WWE clearly wanted to push, but come on man, Keith Lee, Lars Sullivan, But 2019 has been really great for Mr. Lee. He came out of the Dominik Dijakovic feud looking awesome, he was pushed into the spotlight for TakeOver War Games 3, and then he had Survivor Series 2019, which could and should be a big breakout moment. That closing stretch was awesome, and it should make him a star. It's very rare that you come across a talent like this, someone who's charismatic, got great presence, he's big, he's strong, and he can pull off the kind of superhuman athletic feats that a man of his size really shouldn't be able to do. And on top of it, Keith's really getting over at the top of the card now, and apparently Vince McMahon loves him, so it's all looking pretty rosy, isn't it? Number 7, Cody. We've put the American Nightmare in here as much for what he's done off the scene as he has on it, because he's been one of the real driving forces behind AEW. Now, you don't have to like that company's product, but but I think we can all agree that its mere presence has made American wrestling just so much more interesting in 2019. On the air, Cody has been positioned as the de facto ace of AEW, and you know what? That's absolutely fine. Listen to the guy's crowd reactions. I think he might be the most over American babyface in wrestling today. The Jeff Jarrett comparisons are frankly nonsense, because every time the American Nightmare steps out, he is treated like a folk hero. And to these people, that's exactly what he is. He has provided an alternative. He has provided something different, and different should always be celebrated. And we've gotten this far without even mentioning his performances. That great Same Silver Spoon promo in the build-up to the Jericho match, the Jericho match itself. Or how about that bloodbath with his brother, Dustin Rhodes? Cody's delivering, and long may it continue. Number 6, Hiromu Takahashi. Daft and dangerous, Hiromu is a truly special wrestler. He's got this kind of childlike aesthetic with Daryl the Cat and his red mate and the big silly jacket and the smiles and the tongue sticking out and all of this, but he's also an absolute madman, as you can see every time he steps between the ropes. Of course, Hiromu broke his neck while wrestling Dragon Lee at a United States show in July 2018. He's been out ever since, until that is he returned at Power Struggle 2019, throwing himself around ringside, taking his own bumps, saying, "Hey, this neck, it's healed, I'm ready to go, and Will Ospreay, I'm coming for your IWGP Junior Heavyweight title." That match promises to be absolutely absurd. I can't wait to see what goes down, and I can't wait to see if Hiromu is still the same performer he was before the injury. But either way, it's just really, really nice having him back. It's a great comeback story, and I hope he's still the same performer he used to be, albeit maybe with a few more safety measures. Number 5, Rhea Ripley. Ripley was an absolutely massive breakout star over Survivor Series weekend. We saw at War Games, of course, she led her team to victory despite the absence of Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai after the turn. It was 2-on-4, and she still pinned Shayna Baszler. Then, at Survivor Series, yeah, she had a little bit more help with the fake injury angle, but she still prevailed. She scored the pin on a main roster pay-per-view, and that's big. It's quite clear that WWE want to make her a big star, and after pinning Baszler in War Games, she's probably going to be the one to take Shayna Baszler's women's title, right? I mean, who else on that roster, as stacked as it is as believably badass as Ripley? And obviously, because that roster is so stacked, it speaks volumes of Rhea's ability that she's able to stand out on it. She's got size, she's got power, presence, charisma, she can cut a good promo, and I don't think there's going to be anything stopping her on her way to the top. Number 4, Orange Cassidy. Okay, look, I get that Orange Cassidy might not be the most popular choice here. He is a very divisive figure in pro wrestling, but the guy's over as hell in AEW, the people love him, and I have so much goddamn fun watching the guy perform, doing those slow motion kicks, doing the hands in pocket dives, that I just can't be bothered with the complaints. Orange Cassidy might be a meme, but he's so much fun. AEW is the perfect place for him as well, because he's not being shoved down your throats, he shows up sparingly, he does his gimmicks, he hits people with those silly little kicks, and then he dies, he gets his head booted off. He never really looks dominant, and the only moves that really make an impact are things like the dives, which are pretty believable. Cassidy, honestly, is just so much fun, and comedy in wrestling is maybe the sport's most subjective element, but I think it hits the mark almost every single time. Now, how long that will go on for remains to be seen. There might come a time when he needs to evolve, but listen to those audiences, man. That time clearly isn't now. And I'm thankful for Orange Cassidy, not just because he makes myself and the entire What Culture office laugh, but he also has great value when it comes to building heat for heels, because whoever lays hands on him is booed out of the building. That's value, that's worth, and that's part of why he's around. Number 3, Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley getting his WWE release might go down as one of the best things to ever happen to him in his pro wrestling career, because he looks re-energized, he looks a lot happier, and both versions of him, the AEW version and the New Japan version, are just really sick. In AEW, he is an element of chaos. He indulges in lights out unsanctioned match after lights out unsanctioned match. He can indulge in that inner violence to its fullest extent. He can show up anywhere and DDT your head right through a glass table. In New Japan, he's a little bit more measured, but he takes that chaos and refines it into more of a serious wrestler type character who's a real master strategist. His G1 Climax run was awesome, and I just hope we see more of him in New Japan soon. Dean Ambrose is dead. Jon Moxley is an instant jolt of adrenaline to whatever building he steps in. He's been able to keep it up for quite an impressively long period of time already, and long may it continue. Number 2. Becky Lynch. It speaks volumes that Becky has been able to stay so over for so long in the WWE system, and yeah, while she's always one of the most popular people on any card she features on, maybe we don't credit that enough. It takes a lot to stay over for any length of time, given how variable WWE's booking can be, but to be fair, in the promotion's defense, they've done right by Becky so far. They've made her look really, really strong as Raw Women's Champion, no matter who she's been facing, and at this point, she's one of the company's most valued and protected wrestlers, regardless of gender. And on top of this, the promos and character work are still close to perfect as well. And at this stage, she is the undisputed man of WWE's women's scene. So let's see what the future holds. I still want that Ronda Rousey match at WrestleMania, but hey, who the hell am I? And at number 1, Chris Jericho. I don't think there's a single performer in all of pro wrestling who's so great at so many different things in 2019 as Chris Jericho, who at 49 years old has somehow reinvented himself again and is producing some of his career's best work as Le Champion. This guy creates a new meme on the microphone every single week. He's still a better promo than 99.9% of wrestlers working today. He gets things buzzing, he gets people talking, he is the center of attention, the main attraction. And oh yeah, he's still delivering in the ring as well, as he's proven in matches with the likes of Cody, Hangman Page, Darby Allin, and countless others. But more importantly, he is the perfect Le Champion for AEW at the perfect time. He might be the best world champion character in all of wrestling at the moment, and now that he has a drawing rate that we can compare and contrast and make stronger arguments, maybe he is one of the GOATs after all. So there you have it, folks. That's our list of the 10 wrestlers we are most thankful for in 2019. But yours might be a whole lot different, so why don't you head down to the comment section right now, down below there, fire off your takes, let us know who you're most thankful for as the year reaches its end. Once you've done that, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Then you can follow us on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE and myself, if you want to tell me how wrong I am, at Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Happy Thanksgiving. Cheese!